Do you enjoy watching Star Wars fan films? Have you ever wanted to make a Star Wars fan film? Well, if you have, you're in luck. Today, my special guests are doing just that. Welcome to Live with Sensei. I'm your host, Jay Haynes, for the Film Sensei YouTube channel. We are streaming to you live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch TV. And today's special guests are making a Star Wars fan film called Remnants, and we are going to talk all about it. Before we jump in with our guests, I want to throw out an easy win question for you, and that is this. If you are a fan or an aficionado like I am of Star Wars fan films, what is your favorite Star Wars fan film? Put it in the chat for me. I would love to know what your favorite Star Wars fan film of all time is, and I want to highlight you as well. And if you have never seen a Star Wars fan film, or maybe you don't have a particular favorite, then do me a favor and put Remnants in the chat for me, because that's going to be your new favorite Star Wars fan film. Remnants, put it in the chat, either that or put in your favorite Star Wars fan film of all time. I would like to introduce my three guests today, starting with filmmaker and the big cheese and the head honcho of Treble Peak Productions, and that is Eliot Johnson. Welcome, sir.
Hi there. Thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you, sir. I am delighted that you're here. Also, we have the writer of the Star Wars Remnants, a fan film, and that is Andy Lucas. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Andy, it is a pleasure to have you. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, we have the lead actress for the production. She is playing the main protagonist in the movie, and her name is Audrey McGee. Welcome.
Hello.
It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate it. I am delighted that you're all here. I would like first to start with, I'm going to change you guys up here like this. And wait a minute. No, like that. How about like that? No, I'm not going to do that. All right. I thought I was going to do that. How about like that? Ha! Except I'm going to put Eliot, you in the front and center. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am married. I live in Colorado Springs. We've been married for about 6 years, and I've known my wife for about 10. We have two Boston Terriers. One of them is named Treble, and he is the old guy. He is about 12 years old. And we have a 2-year-old Boston Terrier. Her name is Viola. Reason for the music names is because my wife is a music teacher. As you can see, there's a violin back here in the background, and so yeah, that's that. But I've been in the film industry for a while. I actually had my start. I'm from California originally. I have been an extra or background in the film business, and there are some things that you can actually see me if you know what you're looking for, and it's kind of cool. I went to a film school in Florida called Full Sail University, so I do have a film degree, and I do work on some projects from time to time, like this one, but my passion is to direct and to produce my own independent films.
Awesome. Yeah, Ryan Conley went to Full Sail University. He is a regular among our group here as well.
Nice.
It is a pleasure to have you, sir. Thank you. Andy,
Tell
me a little bit about yourself.
Me? Well, I'm Canadian. I live in Vancouver. I've been writing since about 2000 or 1986. Mostly I write role-playing games, some fiction, a little bit of poetry, and this isn't my first fan film that I've worked on. I did some work on a Star Trek, The Romulan Wars, but this one's quite a lot of fun. I think everyone's going to really enjoy it.
Awesome. Oh, I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be fantastic. Let's have Audrey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a college student. Was not born here, but I was raised in Colorado Springs for much of my life. I'm currently attending University of Colorado Springs, for theater. And I've done a lot of theater work, acting work in the past, but this is my first film role, so that is very exciting for me.
How exciting. Awesome. Well, I appreciate all you guys being here again. Let's take a look at the chat and see what we have going on, starting with Oceanographer Girl. Won't be here today, but I wanted to highlight you anyway. I'm so glad you'll be watching the show after the fact. So thank you for being here. It looks like Mike with Hit Film University is here. And George Film, you are in the house. Great to have you, sir. And let me see. Frank is in the house. Frank is also from Florida.
No, hi, Frank.
And Frank's favorite, or sorry, Mike's favorite, let me say that again. Mike's favorite Star Wars fan film is Troops, 1997. That's kind of like the original.
Is that the one where they're going around with like they're on cops?
Yeah,
that was very,
exactly.
that was very well done. Yes,
that is like one of the best ever. And George Film says The Last Stand. Very cool. Yeah, I'm not sure that I've seen that one. I think maybe I have, but I would have to go back and watch it again. I will make a note to go check that one out. Frank almost went to Full Sail University. Frank is a genius when it comes to building models, and he's particularly made some spectacularly amazing Star Wars models. So everything is filmed in Vancouver. Is that true, Andy?
Well, interesting you would say that. If you like that, the Troops, back in 1997, as was mentioned, there's another fan film for Star Wars called Bucketheads, which is like Troops, but it's more serious, and that's filmed in Vancouver. And
nice.
Man, the production there is just over the top. It's just crazy. What they're doing with that.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to watch that. I'm sure I have not seen that one. So, again, our easy win question for the day is, what is your favorite Star Wars fan film? Put it in the comments. We'd love to see what it is. And if you don't have a favorite fan film, then put in Remnants, because it's going to be your new favorite fan film. I am sure of it. Mike says Bucketheads is a good short film, good film. All right, let's if you have any questions that you want to ask any of my guests today, please put them in the comments and we will we'll do some question and answer. But let's talk a little bit about Star Wars Remnants, a fan film. Eliot, how did this thing come about?
Well, I was kind of writing my own script for a little bit, and I wasn't liking how it was turned out. And I remembered that I had worked with Andy before, and he is a much better writer than I am. So I pitched him an idea of this film. I said, hey, I want to do a Mission Impossible type movie. I want to do a heist movie. Can we make it a Star Wars movie? He's like, sure. And that's how we came up with Star Wars Remnants.
Not many Star Wars heist films, are there?
Not very many. There's been a couple episodes here and there. I think they had a heist episode on The Mandalorian, and I think there was something from the Clone Wars as well. But when they're done right, it's a good story.
Yeah, absolutely, fantastic. So Andy, you got involved because Eliot asked you to. You guys knew each other before.
Yeah, we worked a bit together on the Star Trek, the Romulan Wars, and we've kept in touch, over the years since then. So when he asks, pretty much I'll just ask, how high do I need to jump? And, everything we've worked together, it's been fun. And usually if someone comes to me with a fun project, then, it's not a hard sell.
Right. That's pretty cool. So Audrey, how did you get involved in the production?
Well, I have loved Star Wars ever since I first watched it when I was 8 years old. And so, I saw a casting call for a Star Wars project and I'm just like, heck yes, this is for me. Let's do this. Went to the audition, and that was actually right before the shutdown. So I had to wait a while for the casting, but it was worth the wait.
Yeah.
So far. What is the what is the time frame for the production?
The production itself, if all goes well and COVID restrictions get lifted, we're looking to be filming in June through August of this year.
Great, and that'll be in and around Colorado Springs.
Yes. Yeah, I'm working to keep it as local as I can. We might go to Denver a little bit, but we are staying in the Colorado Springs area.
Very good. Denver's not that far away. It's only about 60 miles. It's no problem there. Not a problem there. Let me see. Chad Vader. Have you guys ever seen Chad Vader? I've seen that.
Yeah.
I think you have, yeah.
Blackfly 48. Welcome. Good to have you from France. Awesome.
Nice.
I'm glad you're here. Here's a question for you. Is this a live action or an animated movie?
This is a live action.
Yep. So real people going to be running around doing real stuff. How about this one? Roll One, a coronavirus story is a fun Star Wars fan parody. But he's biased because it's his. Yeah.
Oh,
Mike,
okay.
Mike is the guy who made that one. So
I'm going to check that out when we're done here.
Yeah, I'm writing notes for that.
Yeah, make a note for that. Make a note for that. So you have an Indiegogo campaign that you're running to help raise money for this. I'm going to throw this up on the screen here. And also I want to put the link to that in the chat here, because if you're interested and if you have a desire to help out with this, these folks could really use the help to make sure that they can pay for props and costumes and things like that, because it's a labor of love to make a fan film, but you cannot love does not buy a good blaster by your side. So you need to fund it. You got to have a little bit of money to help, and they're not asking for much. Even just $10 would go a long ways towards helping. So if you could see your way clear to help them out and maybe throw a little bit their way to get this project done, that would be really great. Eliot, would you like to say anything about the Indiegogo campaign?
Well, we've been cranking. We're at 1,466. We have 19 days left, so we're short on time. But like Jay said, if you want to donate as little as $10, that will actually get your name up in the credits, and you can actually have your name up on the big screen, kind of like that, maybe a little bit bigger. But it's a cool thing to do, and we have different perks. We have some props available to go with the contribution for this campaign. We have Valora's vibro weapon, which is a knife. That's actually Audrey's character. She doesn't carry a lightsaber. She carries a blaster and a knife that's concealed. So if you want to see what it looks like, we have a picture up there on our Indiegogo campaign as well. So there's different types of perks. Yes. Yeah.
So anybody who's interested in maybe donating, definitely click on that link and see if you can do what you can do. Let's see here. Are you guys aiming for more practical sets or virtual sets?
Practical sets.
Ooh, that's expensive too.
Yes, it can be.
Yeah, very cool. And so are you scouting locations around Colorado Springs?
We are, yes. And I am waiting for restrictions to be lifted as well. But yeah, we actually, there's a farm that we're looking for. So if anybody knows of a farm in the Colorado Springs area, that's one of our key sets that we need.
Right. Farm that preferably looks like it'd be in the Star Wars universe.
Yes. True. Yes.
That would go a long way. So that would help a lot. Yes. And I want everybody to know that I am helping out with doing the visual effects for this film. So, I'm very excited to be involved in it. It's going to be so much fun.
And thank you very much.
It is my pleasure. I've actually read the script, so I do know what happens in the film, but we're not obviously going to talk too much because we don't want to spoil anything. But Mike, is Audrey playing Jen Valora?
Yes, that is correct. I am playing Jen Valora, and I'm very excited for it. She's definitely a new character for me. Actually, I've never played her type of mercenary gunslinger type before, and I'm very, very excited for this.
So she's a what kind of a character is she? Without giving away all the whole farm now.
Oh well, I guess I would classify her as a Han Solo type character. You know, everyone says, you know, Han Solo is like the rogue, but he ends up being like one of the guys with the best, like the heart of gold, mercenary with the heart of gold thing. And I think that's where Jen Valora is right now. She's also very young, so not a lot of experience. She's very headstrong and thinks she knows what she's doing. She doesn't. But you know you'll find out more in the movie.
Yep, you're gonna have to watch the movie to see, right?
Yes.
This is true.
So whose idea was it to make it a heist film?
It was kind of a combination of Andy and myself, I believe.
Yeah.
And how did that come about? Were you guys just bantering back and forth an idea for a fan film or Star Wars film, and then you came up with that, or was it out of something else that you had done, or?
I'm not 100% sure where it came from, other than I was doing some writing on the side, and I was kind of in that bit of a mind frame where it's, you know, it's like a criminal element, but there's good, there's bad, there's mystery. And it's like when Eliot and I started talking about this, it's like, well, my head's already here, so why don't I slam something together in a proposal and see where it went? And it just, yeah. A bunch of ne'er-do-wells come together. They have an objective. They don't know what the real objective is. It's kind of an Ocean's 11 thing. And, you know, chaos ensues. It just seemed to come together really, really well, I thought.
Yes, it did.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I saw, so there's a YouTube channel for Treble Peak Productions, and I'm just going to grab that and post it in the comments here. So if you want to go take a look at that channel, you can see that. But I watched the interviews with the different people that are involved, and I watched Andy. I watched your interview this morning, actually, and I saw that, you know, a lot of your writing style comes out of role playing games. And
yes.
you roll. What kind of role playing games do you play?
At the moment, I'm doing a lot of Savage Worlds, but also some anime-inspired role-playing games. So I also tend to do less role-playing than I want and more writing for role-playing. So that's really where I'm going with right now. I've got some other fiction on the go and stuff like that.
Yeah, because what you said was, you know, sometimes when you get stuck, you just write, and then you throw it out and see how you can how the characters play it, you know, and then get some ideas.
That's a great idea.
So and that really works well, because if I have a really solid role playing party, then I just give them the scenario. They figure it out the way they will, and often it is not the most efficient. It's not the most reasonable, but it's sure as heck a lot of fun to watch them to go through these issues.
Yeah. Well, role-playing games are just collaborative story writing, so, you know, I mean, it's nothing but inspiration right there. Hey, Mixture Monkey is in the house. Great to have you, sir. Alexander Filmworks, I'm glad you could be here too, sir. He is an old-school filmmaker from way back in the days when you could, you know, you actually had to splice and you could smell the film being spliced together. He's
very cool.
He's one of the few people that I've had on my show that's older than I am. So D&D player right here. Mike says you can learn a lot about storytelling from role-playing games. Says the RPG author in the audience.
Andy, I think we're going to have a role-playing thing when this is all done.
Yeah, maybe it's the stretch goal.
Yes.
I think Remnants, the role-playing game, is in the works. That's what I think.
That might be.
Audrey, have you ever played any role-playing games?
I have not, surprisingly. No, I have a lot of friends. I know.
That's it.
It's
She's
crazy.
out of the group. Sorry.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
He got kicked out.
Just kidding.
Have done D&D and LARPing, and that all looks very interesting to me. I've just never had the time or energy to really engage in it that much. I've always been doing, like theater and such. So, theater's kind of a role-playing game.
Really
they
is.
call it play.
That's true.
Yeah. Sometimes even the audience gets to play as well,
It's true.
That's true.
Depending on the interactive theater that you go to. So,
Yeah.
All right. If you have any questions for my guests, please ask away. I know I have a bunch of questions because I've always wanted to make a Star Wars fan film, and I sort of have made one. I say sort of because, I've done a few Star Wars sketches. And I also have in the past done some, work with my karate students making a Star Wars sort of a fan film sort of a thing, but I've never really made a real official one, anything like that. Ask away if you have any questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you guys some icebreaker questions here. Okay. Just so that I want to get to know you a little better and see what we have in common. And I'm going to start with Eliot. Eliot, who is the most famous person you've ever met?
That's I have a customer service background also. I have actually met Kevin Sorbo, believe it or not. I was
Hercules.
Hercules. I was a concierge at the Peabody, which used to be in. They have 3 hotels. Their main one is at Memphis, Tennessee, and they used to have one in Florida. And he was staying at the Florida hotel, and I would just happen to be cleaning up, and I turned around, and there he is.
Wow.
Yeah, really, really cool guy. I got to talk to him a few minutes, and then he kind of disappeared, but he's really tall.
Is he really?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, hello. Well, I'm short to begin with, but anybody's taller than me.
Anybody's taller than you, so there it is. Yeah. Well, I actually I had dinner with Peyton Manning one time.
Oh, very cool.
And I'm 6'3". The man is huge. He's way taller than I am. I was really surprised at how big he was,
Oh, wow.
because out on the football field, he doesn't look that big. You know what I mean? Which tells you how big the other guys are on the football team,
That's true, yeah.
Oh man, I was really surprised. He's like 6'6", and his hands are like this big,
Wow.
You go shake his hand and you're like a kid shaking an adult's hand, right? So Andy, who's the most famous person you've ever met?
It's kind of niche, but I would say it's Dave Arneson, who's one of the co-creators of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And also William Gibson, the author of Neuromancer. So
wow.
Met those two at conventions. A little chat. I talked to Dave more in depth than I did with William Gibson. And I was about 20 feet away from the Queen of England once, so there's that.
Wow.
Wow.
As in Eric Bed,
cool.
so.
That's cool.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is
I
really
wouldn't say
cool.
I met her, just general vicinity.
You're in
That's
this
pretty
vicinity.
cool.
That counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that counts. That counts. All right, Audrey, who's the most famous person you've ever met?
I actually had the chance to meet Allison Janney one time. So I knew her from The West Wing, which is actually one of my favorite TV shows growing up. She's done a lot of other stuff. The other most famous one I know is Mom. But no, she was really nice to meet. I got to see her speak at a panel sort of thing, and then got to come up and talk to her afterwards, got her autograph, got a picture, all the stuff. Really professional, lovely, funny lady. It was great to meet her.
Wow. Very cool.
Wow.
So Eliot, who is scoring the film?
His name is Peter Schmidt. He's a local composer out here. I just recently met him, so I've only had a couple meetings with him, but we're already starting to work on some themes. He's also a friend of Audrey's as well.
Oh.
He is. Yeah.
Audrey bringing everybody to the table here.
Yes.
Networking.
Networking.
Networking indeed. Let's see. Mike says, I met Arneson once at Gen Con. How cool. And then Gygax watered 5 minutes later. What? Are you kidding? Wow. That's so cool. I remember the first person I ever met that was famous. I was a kid. I was probably like 8 years old. And we were at Circus in Las Vegas, my parents and I. Maybe not even 8. Maybe I was 6 or 7. And I looked over, and there's the skipper from Gilligan's Island, Alan Hale Jr., having
very
lunch,
cool.
you know? I'm like,
wow.
Well, I'm just staring at him.
Right? Like, who are you?
He's a skipper, you know? Skipper. And so after he got done eating the lunch, you know, and I just couldn't help it, you know, I'm like 6. And he finally, he walks over, he gets up, and, you know, he and his group say goodbye to each other. He walks over and he says, I noticed you were looking at me, you know, and he shakes my hand, and I say, yeah, are you stuck on an island somewhere? He's like, oh, we got rescued. Wow, that's great. You know,
oh, that's awesome.
Wonderful. So glad to hear that. Cool. Yeah. My parents were like, oh, geez, you know. I'm so sorry, you know. All right, how about this one? Eliot, I'll ask you first. Where's the furthest away you've ever traveled?
That's a good question. I haven't been out of the country. Does the Virgin Islands count?
Sure. Is it the furthest away you've ever been?
Okay, yeah, and Hawaii. So I've been to both of those islands. We used to have a condo on Maui. We've since sold it, but it was kind of nice to have that available for us for a little bit.
Nice. Very cool. All right, Andy, where's the furthest away you've ever been?
Japan.
Nice.
My wife is Japanese, and so we've been back there 4, maybe 5 times now. Stayed there for a month at the longest, and it's really nice, especially when you get away from the cities and into the smaller towns where my in-laws live. And you know, the history and the culture, it's really nice, really different from Canada.
Not that Canada isn't nice.
Well, most people don't realize this about me, but I was born in England, so I've been back to England a few times, and they have historical buildings in amongst their new buildings, and it really is kind of, you walk around a corner and you see like an old building in the culture, right? It's the same with Japan, but you don't have to go around the corner. It's just everywhere.
Wow.
Right.
If you ever get a chance to go to Kyoto, highly recommend it. Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Japan. I've never been. Audrey, where's the furthest away you've ever been?
I actually had the chance to live in Malaysia for a few years when I was younger.
Wow.
Yeah. So I lived there from ages 7 to 10 years old. And so I was really young, but I got to learn the language. I had a lot of friends there who were, Malaysian, or that's honestly like a cultural hub. You know, you've got like, it's right in between like Australia and Thailand and Singapore. And like, there's so many different cultures of people there. And so it was a really amazing experience getting to just kind of grow up there and meet lots of different people, try lots of new different things. It was really fantastic.
Wow.
Cool.
So it sounds like you're the winner of the furthest away travel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Japan is pretty close.
Japan is pretty close, but Malaysia's further. That's just about as far away as you can get from Colorado.
This is true.
All right. Eliot, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Empire Strikes Back.
Old school. Old school here. Okay. Why is it your favorite?
It was just so different than the other ones. And it was the way it ended was just like, you're sitting there going, okay, it's going to be a happy ending. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that just happened. Okay. And there's going to be more. So it's like, oh, even better. So it like, gets you interested for other stories to come.
Yeah. Had to wait 3 years for that, 3 years to find out. And we would have daily conversations, me and my friends, about is he really his father, or is he lying?
Yeah.
I was on the he's lying side. He can't. That's not possible.
That's what James Earl Jones said the first time he read it. He said he's lying, and he didn't know, I guess, because it wasn't given the whole entire script. But like, wow.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like 3 years? I only had to go wait a couple months.
Oh, we did.
She's out of here again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's gone. She's out.
I have ultimate power around here.
You got kicked out again.
I gotta behave myself.
Yeah, come on now. Don't be giving me that. Andy, what's your favorite Star Wars film?
Well, I was going to say The Empire Strikes Back, but I'm going to twist it a bit. And I got to say I'm really loving The Mandalorian. It's just brilliant writing there. And I've always been a fan of like Akira Kurosawa, the Seven Samurai and stuff like that. And to see these cinematic riffs translated into like the Star Wars genre, it's just brilliant. It's just some excellent showmanship and writing. And Boba Fett, can you go wrong with that? No.
Truth.
No.
Truth.
Yeah. Well, and The Mandalorian is making waves in the VFX world with their very unique production techniques that they're doing. I mean, they're revolutionizing how it's being done. And
it's amazing. Once I saw how they did that, and you go back and you can't really see that it's not practical physical sets, but it's not. It's amazing.
It is because all the lighting is right. All of the light wrapping that happens around the characters is correct because it's all rear projected. The reflections off of his armor are just perfect. You don't have to go back and recreate all that in post. And it's just all there.
And all the callbacks that they have, like the IG-11 and those really annoying scout troopers, these things are just brilliant.
Yeah, it is a really great show, and I'm a huge fan of westerns. And basically it's just westerns, set in Star Wars. And
it's true.
It's a great way to cross things over. And like you said, there's a lot of references to Kurosawa storylines and oh my gosh, it's just so fantastic. All right, Audrey, what is your favorite Star Wars film?
Return of the Jedi.
Ewoks.
Well, yes, Ewoks. I can't deny I'm a sucker for the little teddy bears. No, so I grew up watching them when I was like 8 and 9 years old, and as a child I was a very empathetic movie watcher, and so I really hated episode 5. I really hated The Empire Strikes Back because it just made me so sad. And then of course Return of the Jedi came, and it was just blowing my mind. Like there was everything. You had Yoda, you had the Emperor, you had that huge confrontation between them, and you had Ewoks. And
so then do you like Jar Jar Binks then?
Yes, you do. Come on, admit it.
You're a Binks lover.
Yes. No. Again, I watched it when I was a child, so I didn't fully understand all of the controversy around Jar Jar. But yeah, no, I thought he was hilarious when I was watching him. I still say "excuse me" to this day. So yeah.
Wait, I think we got a line. We got to sneak into the script of Remnants here.
Excuse me.
Andy, make a note of that, Andy. As he shakes his head.
I'm making a note.
He's making a note, and I'm sure we're going to get another version of the script.
How many drafts of the script have you done?
About 5.
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, now there's a 6th. That's it.
What's interesting about that is Eliot started doing table readings with the cast. So they actually go through the script, and as they do it, they start asking questions, and it's like, I don't have that answer. Let me write it in. That kind of stuff.
That reminds me, I have a note.
I've been there for about 2 or 3 rewrites so far. So
Yeah.
but no excuse me is in the script as of this moment.
That's probably copywritten material.
No. I think you can get away with it.
Okay.
I think so. That's a Gungan.
That's true. That's
Gungan. Yeah, that's that's you can use that. I'm sure. Let me see. I'm going to check the comments here. George Film says, when my music teacher in elementary schools was an Emmy Award winner. Woo! Wow!
Oh, nice.
That's a pretty good music teacher.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Where did you go to school?
Yeah, that's a good question, George. Where'd you go to school? Of course, it's Empire. Hey, Salty Gaming is here. I'm glad you're here. I think he thinks we should kick Audrey again for liking Jar Jar.
Oh, not again.
Sorry, Audrey.
Sorry, Audrey. Man,
The force is
strong with you, boy. I'm telling you.
I'm just getting beat up this one.
Yeah, there you go. The third time. The third time would be the charm. Yeah, tough. Actually, I like Jar Jar Binks too, so I don't care. I'm with you. Audrey. I'm with you.
Thank you.
I wouldn't boot you for that. And people in my audience know that I like Audrey. So, hey, Martin, sup, dude? It's good to have you. I'm glad you're here. Hello. All right. Let me see. Elliot, this one's for you. What is your who is your favorite filmmaker? Just in general. Not necessarily Star Wars. Yeah. Who's your favorite filmmaker?
Well, that's a good question. Anybody who could tell a good story, honestly. I do like Steven Spielberg's style, but I also liked Inglourious Bastards, and that's by Quentin Tarantino. He did a very good job of developing the characters in that story, and it was a well-told story. But at the same time, I also like J.J. Abrams. Some of his style. He did a great job on The Force Awakens. Everything else, not so much. But The Force Awakens is probably one of my favorites out of the recent trilogy.
Yeah, that's probably I mean, do you count Rogue One? Do you count the two that are outside? Because if you count Rogue One.
Well, I like Rogue One because it's kind of disguised as a war movie, but it's also a Star Wars movie at the same time, and it works. I like that for the storytelling aspect of it.
Right. Spielberg is great. He's great. Andy, who's your favorite filmmaker?
Is it my favorite film producer or director and such? I got to say the classics. Akira Kurosawa, I think I've mentioned. I really like anyone that's able to pull in the graphic images that are really appealing, that tell the story for you. And he's just a master. You know, when you look at something like The Seven Samurai, you look at Rashomon or even Ran, those are all beautiful cinematic pieces. And he's well known for his samurai films, but he's also got a lot of, for his time, they would have been current, but some Yakuza films, that kind of stuff. Outside of that, I would have to say whoever's doing The Expanse is really just nailing it with just the interiors and the VFX and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yojimbo is one of my favorite Kurosawa films.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah,
Kurosawa was amazing. Just fantastic, and as evidenced by how many people are contemporary filmmakers are influenced by his style. His blocking of shots is like as good as you'll ever see.
Yeah.
In terms of motion, using motion to tell the story, it just doesn't get any better than how he did it. And I don't know if it was like he just knew it or it was just intuitive to him, but every movie he ever made had perfect blocking and perfect movement of camera.
Yeah.
Love it. Audrey, who's your favorite filmmaker? Do you have one? Is it Jar Jar Binks?
Oh dear, I'm not going to hit the end of that.
I put you on the
No,
spot. Sorry.
I really wish that I could, say that I've put a lot of thought into this and, like studied a lot of filmmakers. But as a young actress and studying more the theater than film, I guess I have to say the Russo brothers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I really just started watching those films, rewatching them, and really studying how they're made. And I love the characters that they create and the storylines that they weave together from the comics and from like their own imaginations. And I really adore how they do it.
What's your favorite play?
Oh, my favorite. Oh, don't do that to me.
Avengers Endgame. That's her favorite play.
No, my favorite play is Twelfth Night by William Shakespeare.
Okay.
Yep. I'm a comedic person, so I really love the Shakespeare's comedies. So yep, that'd have to be my favorite.
Awesome.
If they had 12th Night with starring Jar Jar Binks, it'd be perfect play.
Okay. You're just being mean to me.
I know.
Jar Jar feels more like a Midsummer Night's.
Yeah, maybe.
He does.
That's true. Yeah.
He does. Feels like he'd be like a Puck character, just like messing everything up and leaving.
Well, strange things do happen in the woods.
Yeah. All right, Martin asked the question: when is Remnants coming out, do you think?
If all goes well, next summer.
Next summer. Not this summer. This summer you're filming.
Yes.
And next summer, so that'd be the summer of 2022.
Yes, I kind of pitched it as a summer type movie.
Blockbuster.
Yes.
Blockbuster. Yeah. And yes, and Mike is pointing out that Zach Allen does compositing work for the Expanse. All the hand hand things that they do with a shing and that's all Zach Allen. That's it. He does cool. All those those special effects. And like I said, he's very good friends with us, and a lot of times he sits in on our podcast. I don't think he's here today, but he's a very talented VFX artist, and he's from Canada also. Let me say here, a Midsummer's Nightmare with Jar Jar Binks.
Honestly, A Midsummer Night's Dream is a midsummer nightmare for most of the characters, except for the fairies who get away with everything. Really.
There you go.
There's actually a series that is Shakespeare's Star Wars. And it is all of these Star Wars films rewritten into iambic pentameter. And Jar Jar Binks actually comes out as one of the witty fools. He is actually much smarter than he appears, but he presents himself as being, the Jar Jar that we know. So,
right.
And there was a rumor, an internet rumor somewhere that I saw at one point that actually people thought that Jar Jar was the Phantom Menace because he's always waiting. Yeah, because he's always waving his hands around and he's actually using the Force. I'm like,
people still think that he's the Sith Lord, and I think my brother actually had this theory once that although he was not the Sith Lord, he was Force sensitive because Jar Jar is unbelievably lucky, and as we know from Obi-Wan, there's no such thing as luck.
Yes,
so.
That's right. That's right. Shakespeare is best in the original Klingon.
Takbe.
There's a series of Star Wars books that are rewritten as Shakespeare's plays too, and those are a lot of fun to read.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there was a short film called George Lucas in Love as well, which was kind of on that aspect as well.
Love, yeah.
Amazing.
Based on that. So here's a question from Salty. Has the pandemic caused situations for filming that you did not anticipate despite being in a pandemic for more than a year from now? I guess that's for Eliot.
Rehearsals. We have not been able to meet in person because of the pandemic. The only time we were able to meet in person were for the auditions, and that was almost a year later. So we have been having our rehearsals via Zoom, which works and it doesn't work because you get your lines together and everybody's doing a really good job with that, but then you don't get the interaction with the physical space. So we need the restrictions lifted so we could actually be together and go over blocking and things like that.
Everybody wear stormtrooper helmets when they get together,
Or Mandalorian helmets, or Darth Vader
Mandalorian.
masks. Or,
Pick one, just pick any helmet in the Star Wars universe, right?
Yeah, our prop guy has a really good Mandalorian helmet from what I saw from the interview.
Yeah, he really does.
I saw that. Yeah, actually, I perused around on his YouTube channel as well today. Speaking of YouTube channel, let me throw in the comments again. Your YouTube channel, and also you do have a Facebook page, right?
Yes, we do. Treble Peak Productions on Facebook.
We're that in the comments.
We're also on Twitter. For some reason, they got it mixed up, so it's Peak Treble at Treble Peak Productions. I don't know how that happened, but it's still got the same logo that's on the Facebook page.
Yes, and I have thrown that in the comments as well. So, and let me again just real quickly highlight the Indiegogo campaign that you are asking for help to pay for the props and the costumes and all that kind of stuff.
Please.
Please. It goes a long ways to making a production come true, so even something as small as $10 would be just wonderful to donate. If you would be so inclined, really, really appreciate it. Here's my question. And I'm going to go with first. Let me go back to here. Audrey, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Ooh.
I never grew up with Star Trek. And I have only seen to this day probably 2 episodes of The Next Generation. So Star Wars all the way. Sorry,
what episodes? What episodes are those 2 episodes? Out of curiosity,
I
do you even remember?
I remember I watched one where they introduced Q. I don't know which episode that was, but I remember being introduced to Q, and
that was the pilot episode.
That was the pilot episode.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Then I watched the pilot.
Hi, Courtney. Good to have you.
I can do this, but that's about it.
Yeah, I can do that with this hand.
Live long and prosper.
Just can't give up on Jar Jar. He's a Jar Jar fan all the way.
All right. I'll take it.
Andy, Star Wars or Star Trek?
It's Star Trek all the way. That's what I grew up on. That was my passion before Star Wars. Before I had to line up to see the movies. I still remember the first episode I saw, where I saw it, how I saw it, and what I was doing at the time. So,
what was it?
It was Devil in the Dark in the original series. It was my first babysitting gig for my grade 6 teacher, and 1:30 after some kind of religious show in the afternoon, and it's like, what the heck is this? And it just ignited all my passion. So Trek all the way. Doesn't mean I don't love Star Wars, Jar Jar aside. But
I think every writer I've ever met will go with Star Trek because the stories of Star Trek are so deep and in depth, and they're so they're so engaging. Not that Star Wars stories aren't engaging, but there's only so far that's why The Mandalorian is so good, and, because you have more time to really build the characters and tell the stories, whereas Star Trek, you've had all that time the whole time, and so the stories are just so deep and so rich. And I've never known a writer that didn't pick Star Trek on that.
Star Trek is more cultural, social, that kind of interaction with deeper messages, where Star Wars, I'm not saying there's not a deep message, but it's essentially a war story. And it's a war story.
It's true.
Yeah.
Different genres.
And but there is Jar Jar, so there is that.
It's kind of redeems itself right there.
Without any question.
Jar Jar solves everything.
Yeah, that's right. Eliot, what, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I actually have to go with both because my wife is the Trekkie. I am the Star Wars person.
Right.
We actually met going. Well, I went to school with her. I was studying music at the time, so we met going to conventions for out here in Greeley and going out to Denver. So we went to a bunch of Star Trek conventions, and I fell in love with that aspect. But I also like Star Wars for the epicness that it is, the visual effects, the grandeur, the cinematography. You can't really do that with Star Trek. I mean, you can, but it doesn't translate the same.
So you're cheating and saying both. You can't do that. That's against the rules.
I get kicked out.
I'm going to have to kick you out.
Oh, no.
You're a Star Wars fan because you said it was your wife that was a Star Trek fan.
Yeah, so we play Star Trek online together. That's the only game that she will play with me.
That's because she hasn't seen any Star Wars games, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I do like Star Wars Squadrons. That's a fun game.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Yeah, this is a question that I ask all my guests, just in case you're wondering. So, wait a minute. Let me see here. This one here. John Delancey was one of my acting teachers. No kidding.
Oh, very cool. Cue himself.
It's funny because he was my mom back in the the 70s watched soap operas, and she watched Days of Our Lives was her favorite soap opera, and John Delancey played a geek character on Days of Our Lives. And so when he became, when he came onto Star Trek, and was like this huge omnipotent character, I was like, what? Not that guy. He's a geek, but that tells you the range of his acting.
That's true.
Because he's a really, really talented actor. Frank is a Trekkie all the way. Martin is a Star Wars guy all the way. Finally, somebody get booted who wasn't Audrey. When I had Mike on my show, I asked him Star Trek versus Star Wars, and he said Babylon 5, which is
I am a big Babylon 5 fan. I really wish they would reboot that somehow. I really would.
Yeah. And it is well known that John Delancey is not all that fond of his experience there.
Yeah.
So, just
I actually have his autograph.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think I do. I think that.
Did you meet him?
He was at one of the conventions that my wife and I went to, and I got Kate Mulgrew's autograph there as well.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. And did you say you went to Greeley for school?
Yeah, we went. Where I met my wife was at UNC. We were both in the music program. I am more creative in other aspects than music, so I decided to go a different route.
My wife has her master's degree from UNC in Greeley.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, never even watched a full episode of Star Trek. All right.
My wife and daughter are the same.
Please don't kick me out of that. Your wife and daughter you're a big Star Trek fan, and they've never seen any Star Trek episodes?
Yeah.
Wow.
I chalk it up to the talent
bad parenting generation. Is what it sounds like to me. Man, failure as a father and a husband, apparently.
I'm gonna have to live with it.
The shame. Actually, my son's favorite television show of all time is Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
He loves the character-driven stories of Deep Space Nine. However, The Expanse has quickly moved into second place on his list. As we have binged watched it over the past year. So we've watched all the seasons over the past year itself. So what a great show that is. All right, let's say we got about 6 more minutes left. Time flies when we're kicking Audrey out. Yeah. So I'm going to give you guys all one last word. I want to start with Audrey. I'm going to give Audrey a solo. You're all by yourself.
My.
Yes. Tell me Give me any last words of sage wisdom and advice.
Sage wisdom.
Yep.
Good heavens.
It's tough.
Stay safe from the pandemic. Keep wearing masks and everything. We really need to, get this thing under control. And as, an actor and a, creator or whatever, if you are really wanting to do something, do it. Just get started on it. You have no idea where it will lead. I had no idea that I would get this role, and now I'm here being interviewed by Film Sensei. And so if you, in the wise words of Stan Lee, if you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let somebody talk you out of it. So those are my sage words.
Bravo. Very nice. Very nice. All right, Andy, any last words for folks?
Well, first, thank you, Audrey. There's no way I'm going to be able to follow up on a quote from Stan Lee. But I would have to say, from a writer's perspective, find what makes you happy, work at it, write, but also find someone that's able to give you quality criticism and listen to it. But definitely do what you want, do what you like, and keep at it.
Very nice. Awesome. All right, Eliot, I'm giving you a center stage. Any last words of wisdom for folks out there thinking about making a Star Wars fan film?
Do it. It may seem like a daunting task and a long task, but if you plan it right, it can work. I have worked on another fan film. I worked on a Ghostbusters project that is still in post-production, but they planned it right, and they're on track to be a good production. But if you don't have that planning, it won't work. You got to have your idea, you have to have a good support mechanism, and you have to have people behind you that believe in your work as well. And you also have to believe in what you can do as well.
Awesome. All right. And not a single Jar Jar Binks quote out there, I noticed. Stan Lee gets a quote, but Jar Jar Binks doesn't get any quotes.
Jar Jar does not deserve a quote.
He does not.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Because I do a pretty good Jar Jar impression myself, I got to tell you.
Oh,
will you give the sage wisdom of Jar Jar to us?
What is your suspicion we set a trouble?
Nice. You're hired.
Thank you. Voiceover work. That's yes. All right. Here I am. Again, I want to ask everybody, consider the idea of donating to Star Wars Remnants, a fan film, the Indiegogo campaign. And one more time, I'm going to throw that in the link to that in the chat room. And whoops, that was my own link. I went to click this one. Bill, good to see you. Bill's a drone guy, obviously. Drone guy. Daniel says we got to bring back Firefly. Just wanted to throw that in there too. So
I think they are actually.
Can't argue with that. Yeah.
I think Disney is trying to bring that back.
This is a great opportunity to get a T-shirt or a poster or a signed copy of the script of Captain Valora's vibro knife. Mandalorian knife. Oh, some really cool stuff in here, guys. I have donated to this myself, actually. And also, it's my pleasure. And also, I'm going to be helping out with the visual effects as well. And is there anything that you guys need other than what you already have? Are you still looking for somebody? Maybe we'll throw it out there, and if somebody knows somebody, they can get in touch with you.
Makeup person.
Makeup artist, preferably in Colorado Springs.
Yes. Yes.
That would be good.
And we are working on costumes. Our prop guy is designing some, but it would be kind of cool to have somebody who has a connection with making costumes as well. Right. Because that's probably going to be that is the most expensive part of our budget is the costumes.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, please consider donating to the cause for sure. Is there a way that anybody can get in touch with you, Eliot?
I do have two emails. I have my personal, and I do have one for Treble Peak. So it's should be treble.peak productions@gmail.com.
Productions@gmail.com.
And then there's my personal one, which is Eliot, and it's spelled with one L and one T. So ELIOT JOHNS, the number 1 @gmail.com.
So Eliot Johns 1 @gmail.com with one L in Eliot.
Yep, my parents were poor.
And then they only could afford one L.
They can only afford one L.
And then Treble Peak Productions,
Yes.
treble.peak.productions@gmail.com.
Yes.
All right. If you have any questions or anything that you might have to offer, definitely get in touch with Eliot. And I'm sure he'd love to hear from you, and he'd be happy to consider anything that you can provide for them.
Yes.
I would like to thank you all for being on the show. It has just been a pleasure to sit down and talk with you about the production that you're doing. I wish you all the best and all the luck in hopefully the restrictions being pulled back and giving you that opportunity to get in there and rehearse and then film this thing and get it rolling into post-production and hopefully a release a summer from now, summer of 2022. We'll keep an eye on it, and I will keep talking about it as we go along. But I just really appreciate you guys taking your time out of your free Saturday and coming in and being part of the show.
Thank you so much.
It's been fun.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Oh, next week, let me tell you, on Live with Sensei, I have my season finale show is Tom Cowlis from Hit Film from VFX, from FX Home. He is a visual effects artist from England. He works for FX Home, the makers of Hit Film, and he and I will be chatting about his job at FX Home and how he makes the visual effects that he does for their YouTube channel. So don't miss that one. It's going to be my season-ending show for season 3. Until next time, we will look forward to seeing you later. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.